Welcome to the deep dive. We sift through the sources, the research, the key ideas, and boil it all down into knowledge you can actually use.
And today, we're tackling something really fundamental. Our sources call it the one thing that changes everything.
Sounds big. What is it?
It's trust. Simple as that. But, it's often dismissed, isn't it? Seen as this soft, kind of fuzzy
Well,
quality.
nice to have.
Exactly. But that's not how our sources see it at all. They define trust as something very pragmatic, tangible, even, an asset you can build and, crucially, measure.
Okay, so that's the big shift then. Taking trust out of just, ethics and putting it squarely into economics and performance.
Precisely. This is about results you can see on the bottom line, not just feeling good.
And there's a core idea here, a kind of formula.
There is, and it's powerful because it applies everywhere, basically. When trust goes down, things get slower and they cost more.
Okay.
But when trust is high, speed goes up and costs go down. It acts like this hidden multiplier, either taxing you or giving you a dividend.
Right, so managing trust is managing speed and cost. That makes sense. And it's not just a theoretical thing. Leaders actually recognize this.
Oh, absolutely. We see top CEOs talking about it. William Parrott from Deloitte, he called trust the key intangible asset for long-term sustainability, survival, really.
An asset for survival. I
Uh-huh.
like that.
And Douglas Conan at Campbell Soup, he put it very clearly. High trust means success comes faster, better, and at lower cost. It's about optimizing efficiency through character and competence.
So that's our mission for this deep dive then, to kind of lay out the blueprint for trust.
Exactly. We're going to unpack this model called the 5 waves of trust. We'll start right at the core, personal credibility or self-trust.
Then move outwards.
Yeah, into relationships, how trust works through behavior, and finally, how to use what the sources call smart trust to get better results everywhere in your life.
Okay, let's start with just the feel of it, the difference between low and high trust. Because you said it's palpable, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think about just talking to someone in a high trust relationship, maybe a colleague you've worked with for years, or family if you say something a bit awkwardly or misspeak.
They give you the benefit of the doubt,
Exactly. They assume you meant well. They focus on the intent behind the words.
which is such a relief, honestly.
Yeah.
But flip that. Low trust.
Total opposite. You could word everything perfectly like a lawyer, and they'll still twist it or look for the hidden negative meanings.
So much wasted energy just explaining yourself.
Right. Clarifying, defending. It's like every conversation comes with a built in cost structure because the trust isn't there.
And that's the trust tax you mentioned.
Yeah, and it shows up in a couple of big ways. First, there's the really visible stuff like regulations. Think about those huge corporate scandals, Enron, WorldCom.
Okay, yeah. Massive betrayals of trust.
And what happened? The government stepped in with Sarbanes-Oxley, or SOX.
Right. That huge compliance act.
And one of the sources called it, brilliantly, I think, a prosthesis for the lack of trust.
A prosthesis.
Yeah.
Wow. Because the integrity wasn't there naturally. They had to bolt on these external rules.
Exactly. And that prosthesis, incredibly expensive. Just implementing one part SOX costs something like $35 billion.
$35 billion.
Yeah. Way more than they initially thought, like 28 times the estimate.
And that money wasn't going into innovation or growth.
Nope. Lawyers, auditors, compliance officers, software, training, all just to verify what people were doing because you couldn't assume honesty anymore. That's a direct, measurable cost of low trust.
Okay, so that's the visible tax. What about the hidden one?
Ah, that's the one that bleeds you slowly. It doesn't show up on the P&L. The sources use this analogy of a kid getting their first paycheck.
Uh-huh.
You see the gross amount, but then all these deductions come off before you actually get the cash. Low trust works like that.
So in a conversation or a negotiation,
You automatically discount what the other person is saying by, say, 20%, 30%, maybe more. You assume they're spinning things, exaggerating.
so you need extra checks, more meetings, more approvals, friction everywhere.
Constant friction. It slows everything down. Leaders get bogged down in documentation, endless sign offs, they get risk averse. It just drains time, money, and energy.
Okay, so let's slip it again. The high trust dividend. Warren Buffett comes up a lot here, right?
Is the classic example. When Berkshire Hathaway bought McLean Distribution from Walmart, a $23 billion company.
Huge deal. That normally takes months of due diligence, right? Lawyers, accountants, crawling all over everything.
Easily. Millions of dollars spent just verifying the books. But Buffett?
He did it differently.
Amazingly so. One meeting, 2 hours, a handshake, done in less than a month.
No due diligence. Seriously.
He said it himself. We did no due diligence. We knew everything would be exactly as Walmart said it would be, and it was.
Wow. That's incredible speed.
That's the dividend. High trust, high speed, low cost. They saved millions, avoided disruption, moved faster than anyone thought possible. Trust essentially let them bypass all the usual risk management hoops because the credibility was already established.
Okay, the economic argument is clear. Low trust costs, high trust pays. But you can't just flick a switch and create high trust. Where does it start?
It starts inside. That's the first of the five waves of trust self trust. It's all about your own credibility.
Credibility. It's like,
Yeah.
am I believable? Do I trust myself?
Exactly. And the sources break credibility down into two main parts character and competence.
Okay,
And within those, there are four cores. Character is built on integrity and intent. Competence comes from capabilities and results.
right. The analogy they used was like being an expert witness in court. Your believability hinges on those four things.
That's a great way to think about it. Let's dig into the character cores first because they're foundational, like the roots of a tree.
Core one, integrity. We usually think of that as just honesty, right? Telling the truth.
It is, but it's more nuanced than that. The sources define it as telling the truth and leaving the right impression. It's about congruence.
Ah, so you can tell the literal truth, but still mislead by leaving stuff out or spinning it.
Exactly. That's a violation of integrity, too. It's about wholeness, your actions, matching your values, being predictable in a good way.
Like Gandhi. He had immense influence, but no official power. Why?
Because he was congruent. He lived his principles visibly and consistently. That deep integrity made him incredibly trustworthy on a global scale.
So, how do we build that in ourselves? Does it have to be big, dramatic actions?
Not at all. Actually, the fastest way, according to the sources, is making and keeping small commitments to yourself.
Small ones. Like what?
Like deciding you're going to get up when the alarm goes off to exercise and then actually doing it instead of hitting snooze.
Huh. Okay. But those little moments add up. Breaking promises to yourself erodes self trust.
Absolutely. If you can't rely on yourself for the small things, how can you trust yourself or expect others to trust you with the big things?
There was a story about that hotel chain founder,
Mm.
Little America.
Yeah, the great grandfather. He made a private pledge to himself to build this specific motel in the middle of nowhere. No one else knew.
But keeping that promise to himself built something inside him.
Exactly. That internal follow through created this deep sense of integrity that shaped his character and everything that followed. Personal credibility starts with keeping your word to yourself.
Okay, makes sense. What's the second character core? Intent.
Intent is the why behind the what's, your motive, your agenda. Trust grows when your motives are clear, straightforward, and based on mutual benefit.
And if the intent seems shady,
The trust tax kicks in immediately. We get suspicious, question everything. The motive that builds the most trust, genuine caring, caring about the people, the outcome, the purpose.
is that why NGOs often rank high in trust? Their motive seems clear.
That's a big part of it. Their intent appears focused on societal good, not just profit. Contrast that with, say, politicians, where motives are constantly questioned, fairly or unfairly.
And companies that just pretend to care.
That backfires badly. People see through fake caring really quickly. It feels manipulative, and the trust cost ends up being even higher because of the duplicity.
Okay, so genuine caring is key. What about the agenda part? Mutual benefit.
It's about actively seeking win win outcomes. The Shea Homes example is great here. Construction can be really adversarial, builder versus subcontractor.
Right. Lots of low trust, fighting over price.
She changed that. They started calling subcontractors trade partners. But more importantly, they opened their books on projects.
Share the financials.
Yeah. Their message was we want to win and we want you to win too. Demonstrating that commitment to a mutual benefit agenda transformed the relationships. Quality went up, speed increased.
Intent in action. And that Starbucks story. After the robbery.
Powerful example of intent under pressure. Howard Schultz didn't just send condolences after those employees were killed. He flew there, spent a week with the families, dedicated the store's future profits.
Things he wasn't legally required to do.
Not at all. But his actions screamed genuine caring and intent. That built immense trust throughout the whole company. Employees thought, if he'd do that for them, he'd do that for me.
Okay, so character, integrity, and intent. That's the foundation, the roots. But you said there's another side to credibility. Competence.
Right. You can be the most honest, well intentioned person. But if you can't actually do the job or get results, people won't fully trust you with responsibility. Competence gives trust its teeth.
This is where capabilities and results come in. Let's start with core three. Capabilities.
Capabilities are your skills, talents, knowledge, the tools you use to perform well. And this is where things get tricky today because the world changes so fast.
So it's not just about having skills, but having the right skills, being relevant.
Exactly. Relevance is everything. Relying on what worked last year or even last month might not be enough. You have to keep learning, keep growing, otherwise, you become obsolete.
The Peter Principle in reverse.
Yeah,
You don't get promoted to incompetence, you just become incompetent where you are because the job changed.
kind of, yeah. Rupert Murdoch nailed it. It will be the fast beating the slow. If your capabilities stagnate, you become slow. Lifelong learning isn't a buzzword, it's essential for credibility.
And sometimes that means taking a step back to leap forward, like the Tiger Woods example.
The incredible example, he was the best golfer in the world, winning the Masters by a record score. And what does he do?
Changes his swing completely.
Right. Takes a huge performance hit for over a year. Why? Because he knew his current swing had limitations. He needed a new capability to reach an even higher, more consistent level long term. That's Kaizen continuous improvement, even when you're already good.
That takes guts. And capability isn't always about formal training, is it? That story about the woman on the stairs.
Oh, I love that story. Just sitting there feeling stuck. But a naturalist challenges her. Just pay attention to what's right in front of you. The stair step.
And she becomes an expert on glazed brick.
Glazed bricks, yeah. And then ants living under them. Wrote a whole book. It just shows that expertise is everywhere if you bring curiosity and focus.
So, how do we accelerate building capabilities?
Run with your strengths. Focus your energy where you excel naturally, and then build teams or systems to compensate for your weaknesses.
Like good managers hiring people smarter than themselves.
Exactly. They aren't threatened by it. They know it enhances the team's overall capability and their own credibility as leaders.
Which brings us to that Michael Jordan story.
The cautionary tale. Unbeatable at basketball. His core strength. Tries baseball.
And he was. Okay. Mediocre, really.
Right. It shows the risk of moving too far from your proven strengths. Leverage what you do best.
Okay, so capabilities are the tools, but you need to actually use them. That brings us to core four results.
This is the bottom line, the track record. If you don't deliver, you lack credibility. It's that all hat, no cattle idea. People trust you based on what you've done.
Like trusting one kid with the car keys over another based on past behavior.
Exactly. It's not always about character, it's about performance history. Have they shown they can handle it responsibly?
But the way you get results matters too.
Yeah, hugely. You can't achieve results by trashing your integrity or values. That GE policy is a great example. Hit your numbers, but violate the values. You're out. Short term results gained unethically destroy long term trust.
But positive results can actually rebuild trust, can't they? Continental Airlines after bankruptcy.
Perfect case study. Bankruptcy shatters trust. They didn't just make promises, they focused relentlessly on performance.
On time arrivals, baggage handling, measurable stuff.
Right. They delivered consistent, superior results, and that tangible performance rebuilt public confidence and even won awards. Results convert skeptics.
So the accelerator here is about focusing on outcomes.
Yes. Take responsibility for results, not just activities. Shift from saying, I made the calls to, I made the sale. Focus on the end goal.
Like Lee Iacocca needing that prototype.
Classic. Forget the 9-month process. Just saw the top off the damn thing. He needed the result, the prototype now. That focus drove immediate action.
And the Tylenol crisis.
Hmm?
Johnson & Johnson took responsibility even though they weren't technically at fault for the tampering.
Monumental trust building moment. Guided by their values, they recalled everything, redesigned the packaging.
Like the huge financial hit.
Huge. But by taking responsibility for the situation, showing integrity and care, they turned a potential disaster into a legendary example of earning public trust through results and character.
Okay, so we've built that foundation of self-trust through the four cores. Now we move outward, right,
Hmm.
to the second wave. Relationship trust.
Exactly. This is where your internal credibility meets the world through your actions. The key principle here is consistent behavior.
Because, as the saying goes, you can't talk yourself out of a problem you've behaved yourself into.
Perfect. Talk is cheap. Behavior is how you make trust deposits. Remember that story about the host's wife calling him Freddie?
From My Fair Lady. Because he said nice things but didn't do helpful things.
Precisely. Saying I love you doesn't build trust if your actions don't back it up, like helping with the kids.
Yeah.
It's the small daily acts that count.
And the sources outline specific behaviors, 13 of them, that consistently build trust. We probably can't cover all 13 in detail, but let's hit some key ones.
Definitely. Let's start with talk straight. This is basically integrity in action, being honest, clear, transparent, even when it's tough news.
And sometimes being blunt is actually kinder, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like with performance feedback.
Absolutely. Saying clearly, look, if these three things don't change, you will be fired, is much more trustworthy than hinting vaguely and then surprising someone later. False kindness destroys trust.
The opposite is spinning things, holding back information.
Right, which leads directly to those meetings after the meetings, where people only say what they really think once the boss who wasn't talking straight has left. Such a waste of time.
Okay, what's another crucial one?
Demonstrate respect. This sounds basic, but it's about showing genuine courtesy and care for everyone, not just people who can help you. The golden rule, but applied universally.
Especially to people in less powerful positions, like that university president helping the housekeeper.
Fantastic example. He was busy, important guy, stops to help her with the trash. That small, unscripted act of respect. It sent ripples of trust through the whole university, people noticed.
Then there's create transparency. This links back to intent, right? Being open, letting people see what's going on.
Yeah, hiding information breeds suspicion instantly. Sunshine is the best disinfectant. That's why open book management works so well.
Sharing the company financials with everyone.
Yep. It builds trust incredibly fast because it shows you're not hiding anything. You're treating people like partners in the reality of the business.
We also talked about keep commitments. Seems obvious, but how does it play out behaviorally?
It's the bedrock of reliability. If you can't count on someone for small things, being on time, following up when they say they will, how can you trust them with big responsibilities?
And the little broken commitments erode trust quickly, constantly rescheduling, being late.
Absolutely. Leaders often excuse it as being busy, but to the other person, it feels like disrespect and unreliability. Death by 1,000 small cuts.
What about listen first? Why is that so important for trust?
Because it shows respect and genuine interest. Most people listen just waiting for their turn to talk.
Listening to reply, not to understand.
Exactly. A high trust listener really tries to get inside the other person's perspective before jumping in with solutions or judgments. Interrupting or assuming you know best just shuts down trust.
And when things go wrong, which they inevitably do, right wrongs,
Crucial for restoration. You have to own your mistakes quickly, apologize sincerely, and importantly, make restitution or change your behavior.
like that coach who dumped water on his nephew. He didn't just say sorry once.
No way. It took months of consistent effort calling, apologizing again, buying him gear, taking him to a game to show the apology was real and the disrespect wouldn't happen again.
Sustained effort to match the breach.
That's the key. And finally, let's touch on extend trust. This one feels different. It's proactive.
How so?
This is where leaders really emerge. Instead of waiting for someone to prove themselves endlessly, high trust leaders choose to extend trust to people they believe are capable. It's an investment.
Giving people a chance to rise to the occasion.
Exactly. The opposite is withholding trust, being overly suspicious, micromanaging. Extending trust proactively creates an environment where people can grow and take ownership. It's a huge accelerator.
Okay, so we've got self trust and relationship trust built on behavior. How does this scale up to bigger groups, like whole organizations?
That brings us to wave three, organizational trust. The guiding principle here is alignment. You need systems, processes, structures, and culture that all work together to promote trust rather than force compliance through rules.
And when that alignment is missing, when you have a low trust organization, we mentioned hidden costs earlier.
Oh, it's worse than hidden. The sources identify 7 specific, very costly taxes that low trust organizations pay.
7 taxes, what are they?
They're all symptoms of compensating for a lack of trust. You get 1, bureaucracy, endless rules and red tape. 2, politics, backstabbing, manipulation. 3, fraud, dishonesty finds fertile ground.
Okay.
4, high turnover. Your best people leave in frustration. 5, disengagement, people check out mentally. 6, churn, constantly redoing or re-verifying work. And 7, slowing growth, innovation dies because people fear risk.
Wow, those 7 taxes would cripple any organization. What's the alternative look like? High trust, high alignment.
Think Nordstrom, their famous employee handbook. One page basically says use good judgment.
That's it.
That's the core of it.
Yeah.
It signals massive trust in their people's character and competence. It eliminates the need for bureaucracy and empowers great customer service. That's alignment in action.
Okay, so that's internal. What about looking outwards? Customers, investors?
That's wave 4, market trust. The principle is reputation. This is your brand value, how the outside world perceives your trustworthiness.
And it takes time to build, but can be destroyed quickly.
Absolutely. Look at Johnson and Johnson over a century building a reputation for integrity. They weather crises. Then look at Enron or WorldCom reputations evaporated overnight when the lack of character was exposed. Market trust is hard won.
And the final wave, wave 5.
Wave 5 is societal trust, built on the principle of contribution. This is the biggest picture organizations acting as good global citizens, contributing value beyond just profit.
Like big philanthropic efforts, Gates, Buffett.
Exactly. Shifting focus to solving global problems demonstrates a level of intent and contribution that builds trust on a societal scale. Thomas Friedman argues this kind of trust is vital for an open, collaborative world.
Okay, this all makes sense, but it feels like there's a tension. You need to trust, but you can't be naive. How do you navigate that risk?
That's where smart trust comes in. It's not about blind trust, which is foolish, or constant distrust, which is paralyzing. It's about being intelligent in how you extend trust.
How do you define that intelligence?
It's a matrix, two axes. Your propensity to trust your natural inclination, your gut feeling, and your analysis, your critical thinking, your due diligence, checking the facts.
Okay, so 4 possibilities.
Right. The goal is zone 2, smart trust. That's high propensity plus high analysis. You're willing to trust, you look for the good, but you also do your homework, verify, clarify expectations, set up accountability.
Makes sense. But what about zone 4? Low propensity, high analysis. That sounds like being cautious, careful. Isn't that the safest place? Analyze everything, trust no one.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But the sources argue zone 4 suspension or distrust is actually one of the riskiest zones to operate in.
Why? How is being suspicious risky?
Because it leads to micromanagement. It drives away talented people who won't tolerate being constantly second guessed. It stifles creativity and risk taking. You end up paying all 7 of those organizational taxes we talked about. You might avoid one specific betrayal, but you create systemic failure.
So paradoxically, not trusting people enough can be the biggest risk of all.
Often, yes. Which leads back to that difference between delegating and entrusting.
What's the difference?
Low trust managers delegate tasks. They tell you what activity to do and check up on how you do it.
Micromanaging.
Right. High trust leaders entrust. They give you stewardship over an outcome. They clarify the goal, provide resources, agree on accountability, and then get out of the way, allowing you ownership. That's how you empower people and build speed.
So the rule is extend trust wisely.
Extend trust conditionally to those earning it and more abundantly to those who've proven themselves, but always with clear expectations and accountability. Even Buffett's handshake deal was based on deep analysis of Walmart's track record. It was smart trust, just executed at high speed. There's one more really important piece here before we finish. It's this common belief, this myth really, that once trust is broken, it's gone forever.
Yeah, that feels true sometimes, doesn't it? Betrayal cuts deep. It seems impossible to get back to where you were.
It feels that way, but the sources strongly argue against it. Restoration is possible. And often, believe it or not, the relationship can actually become stronger after a breach and repair than it was before.
Stronger. How does that work?
It's about confronting the failure honestly and then rebuilding credibility using the very tools we've discussed, the 4 cores, the 13 behaviors, especially things like confront reality, right wrongs, keep commitments, and deliver results.
Like that story of Steven, the son who got the big speeding ticket. He broke the trust agreement with his parents.
Exactly. He didn't make excuses, he owned it. Confront reality. He paid the fine himself, right wrongs, taking responsibility. He accepted the consequences, like losing his license for a while.
And then he changed his behavior.
Right. He demonstrated responsibility, drove carefully, keep commitments, showed a better attitude, deliver results in terms of character. His parents said their trust in him was higher after that whole ordeal.
Because he had been tested by failure and proved he could handle it with integrity. The breakdown led to a breakthrough.
Precisely. So while prevention is best, restoration is definitely possible if handled with character and competence.
So at the end of the day, what these sources are saying is that trust isn't just a soft skill.
Not at all. It's arguably the core competency for leadership in the 21st century. The ability to inspire trust is what separates a mere manager from a true leader. It's about getting results, yes, but getting them in a way that builds trust.
Because that trust is the engine for speed and the antidote to cost in our jobs, our organizations, even our families.
It's the one thing that truly changes everything.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something to think about, a final provocation for you, the listener.
What one small, specific commitment can you make to yourself today and keep that would start building your personal credibility and immediately increase the speed and lower the cost in an important relationship in your life.